Hi everybody, this is the Flat Cap Cafe Racer. I'm out riding the FTR 1200 today on a review. I got Mr. Bill. You want to say something, Mr. Bill?
Hey everybody, how's it going today? It's a beautiful day in Smoky, Idaho.
And he's referring to the smoke that we're getting from our Canadian friends. Come around here, Mr. Bill.
What are you riding there today, Jerry?
I'm riding the Indian FTR 1200 carbon fiber.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. You don't see my brake lights?
Yeah, show me those brake lights. Oh my gosh, you're blinding me. What do those turn signals look like?
I'll give you one right after I get to this light.
Okay.
There's one.
Oh boy, that's nice.
So we're going to take this out for a little spin today, and as I've probably already mentioned, I'm going to do a little comparison with the Thruxton RS from Triumph, because spec-wise, they're a lot of ways they're very similar, and there are some differences, and I'll try to point those out as we go along. So today I've set the bike up with all the preload and compressions and rebound dampening on the front to middle way, and on the rear I've got the compression and rebound halfway, and the preload is just what it was from Indian. And I'm running in the road mode because yesterday I was coming back from the motorcycle shop in the sport mode, and I noticed it was kind of lurching in a little bit at 20 miles an hour in first gear, between 2,000 and 2,200 RPM.
Was it the fact that you're not used to the throttle, or are you saying it was like surging?
Steady throttle, but the throttle is very sensitive to bumps. If you hit a bump, you know, it'll get a little jerky a little bit.
So you were getting a little bit of a surge.
Yeah, getting a little surge there. I don't know if that was attributed to the sport mode and the throttle being very sensitive, or what. But
maybe part of the warm-up that the salesman was telling us about.
They are very cold-blooded motorcycles. This one, I think they vary from motorcycle to motorcycle. This one's not too bad on being cold-blooded. When I did pull away from the shop yesterday, it did die on me just at 20 feet. But it's warmed up pretty good. It's got a couple hundred miles on it, so it's not brand new, but it's the same as brand new. This is a 2023, and like I said, I'll be running in the road mode here today, just to see if that, like right here, it's 30 miles an hour, it's okay. Just stay in this lane, Mr. Bill. Well, we'll put it out here and on the interstate, and get some rain grooves out here. I'm kind of curious about that on the tires. They're actually it's 17-inch tires. It's got a 120/70 on the front and a 180/55 on the back.
Looks like a Michelin Sport Tech M something RR.
No,
I can't tell if it's
a
an
Metzler.
M9 or... what did I say?
I think it's a Metzler, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
You said Michelin.
It is a Metzler Sport Tech.
It does have cruise control on it. Has a very nice looking dash. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, you can see RPMs. It's showing speed and RPMs as being analog on here with a TFT, fuel gauge, clock, and a gear. Yeah, and I can read it pretty easily. I'll show you some pictures as we're going along here that I've taken, and I'll show you on the comparison on the ergonomics what it looks like compared to my Thruxton R. My Thruxton R has basically the same ergonomics as the RS, so it'd be the same. But what you'll see is there's a little bit, about 3/4 of an inch more distance on the seat height from the seat to the peg, but there's about 3/4 of a distance from the seat to the foot peg higher on this bike than it is on the Thruxton. However, the Thruxton has about 3/4 of an inch more ground clearance from the peg to the ground. And if you look at the picture I'm going to show you, it'll show you with the Thruxton, you notice that the arm position is a little bit lower than it is on this bike. Because this has got handlebars, so there's, you know, versus the clip-ons. The back position, I'm a little bit straighter up, I think. And for the feet, on the Thruxton R, the foot pegs are a little bit farther to the rearward piece. One of the things I noticed when I first got on a bike, that you always notice, is how easy or how hard is it the foot peg, the kickstand to bring up. Some foot kickstands are hard to find. This one's not hard to find, but what makes it really hard to use the kickstand is the fact that you got to go behind the foot peg to get it started, then bring it forward of the foot peg to kick it out. So the foot peg actually interferes with deploying the kickstand. See, the foot peg is actually back here, so you got to reach around, how you have to reach around the foot peg to get it. Sometimes it takes a couple swipes. Putting it up is not a problem. It's easy to get to, but you got to go around the foot peg.
Yeah, and it's grabbing your pant leg.
So that's a little bit aggravating. It feels like when I'm in the road mode, it's a lot smoother on the throttle. When I'm hitting the bumps, it's not quite as jumpy as it is in the sport mode. So I think it's perfectly fine. The shifting on the transmission is good. It's not hard to find neutral, and that part of it I like pretty good. The seat's a little hard, but it's comfortable so far. I don't have any issues with it. All right, picking up to about 70 miles an hour. It's about 4,000 RPMs on this bike. It doesn't have. You can feel it's got a motor on it, but the vibration's not. It's not intrusive to me at all. I'd say it's a little bit more than a Tiger, but like I'm going around here and if I change a hand position, the bike immediately slows up. Okay. I'll put out some of the specs on the bikes in comparison with the Thruxton RS. And you can see, you know, gas tank wise, this is a little bit smaller gas tank. It's about 3.4 gallons, and I'll talk about some of those specs. You're setting a little bit above the bike because you're probably got a little bit. This is got a longer wheelbase than the Thruxton R, but it's got a greater rake and greater trail. But despite having more rake and trail on it, it actually feels like you can change directions a little bit quicker. And I think it's due to these handlebars and where your weight is. The rain grooves didn't affect the bike at all. It's got a nice little thing on the instruments that tells you you're doing like we're heading east at 85 degrees. So that's pretty cool. It's got a little, I think there's a touch, you can do it by touch, but there's also a little flicker button over here. And I just flicked it to that, and it'll show you. I don't know if I can show you. You guys can see it on the camera or not, but right in here, now it's showing me the speed, the gear I'm in, and the direction I'm heading, and the road I'm heading on. Now I'm sure that you have to have some sort of app to program it, so you can Bluetooth it to your helmet. But I'm not that familiar. I don't have the owner's manual on that. And it's got the gearing on the bike itself. It's geared a little bit lower than the Thruxton R. It's got a 17 tooth front sprocket compared to the 16, but it's got a 45 tooth rear sprocket compared to the Thruxton R 42. So it's nearly the same, but it's still geared just a little bit lower. So the advertised top speed on this bike is 124 miles an hour. And of course with the Thruxton RS it's probably 130 miles an hour. And I think some of the differences in weight. This one weighs 486 pounds dry, and which is about 204 or 5 kilos, I think. And the Thruxton RS is 197 kilos dry. So there's a few pounds difference, maybe 30 pounds difference in the bikes. With this one being a little bit heavier. The rear suspension is it has one shock. It's kind of offset to the right a little bit, but it's underneath the seat and to the swing arm. It's kind of unique looking swing arm, but I think when I did some adjusting, I think it did some good to this, because I think, to me, the front forks, when I took it home, I hit a bump and you could feel like it was against the bump stop, you know. Right now it feels pretty good. The thing is, this clutch cable here, it looks like it's fouling on the instrument. The TFT is rubbing up against it. Like Mr. Bill pointed it out when we started out. It looks like it's rubbing up against it a little bit. It's already left a little mark on it, so that's not really good. Right here is what we're seeing, where it's rubbing up against there. Around the bike a little bit yesterday, I saw that the oil filter's right underneath the bike, so it's pretty easy access to get to. The adjustments on all the suspension components are very easy to do. What I did notice is the seat's going to be a bear to take off. It looks like it's got at least 2 bolts holding the seat on, maybe 4. I didn't get around to doing that. I will do that. In reality, the only thing that's holding the seat on is as you push up into here. Of course, it's got the little hooks there underneath the seat. But what happens is you've got this screw that goes into that little metal bracket. So it only has 2 screws that you have to take out. However, because the handhold is here, blocks the access to those 2 screws, so you have to take that out first. You have to take the handhold off to get to those 2 screws. So these are on these you need a T40, and on this you need a 6. But you know, it's got mag wheels, so it's tubeless tires. So that's, a lot of people prefer tubeless tires. To me, it doesn't make a difference in either way. I mean, only if you have a flat it does, but only if you got the stuff to fix the flat. If you're running tubeless tires and you don't have the stuff to fix the flat, it doesn't really make any difference. You're calling somebody to come pick you up. It looks like the oil filter is on the right side. Looks like it's got a little dipstick to it. We did notice that like most bikes nowadays, the front fender doesn't extend nearly far enough down So you're gonna, in the wet, you're gonna throw up a lot of stuff on your engine, if nothing else. And on the rear mud flap really doesn't do a lot of good. You're gonna have a lot of stuff flown back towards your rear shock also, because there's not enough. I'm sure there's some add-on things that you can, you know, like every other bike, that you can get fender extenders and such for things like that. It's got a pretty unique, I'll show you the headlight, and Mr. Bill showed you the tail light, just brake light while ago. They're pretty bright. The mirrors are good. For me, I suspect if you're a bigger fellow than I am, that you may not see much around your shoulders, so you may need some extensions. The brakes feel really good. They're actually a little bit bigger than the Thruxton brakes. They're Brembo. They're 320 millimeter rotors in the front versus the Thruxton RS is 310. And it's a little bit bigger in the back by about 10 millimeters also. This bike is kind of unique that it does have an oil cooler and is water cooled. It's got a little joystick here that you can maneuver also to get some of the different screens. And it's pretty easy to use. It's not like the Triumph one in the fact that the joystick is really closer to the blinker. You know, so that can be a little bit of confusing to people until you get used to it. It's got a little bit higher compression ratio than the Thruxton RS. It does have good engine braking. The problem with good engine braking, sometimes the throttle is really sensitive to it. If you hit bumps, then it makes it hard to ride smooth. But I guess you do have you got the cruise control set right over here on the left hand, which where it should be on the left hand side. BMW. Hooter. This normal hooter. You can. Oh, I can hear yours better. It does have a little port here for your plug in, charge up your phone or your GoPro or something like that. Yeah, it's a USB port. It's got LED lighting. It does not have an adjustable clutch lever, which would have been nice. Because at the price point, there's several different models of this that you can get, different ranges. So, and it's kind of like the Thruxton RS, depends on how you get it outfitted and how much it's going to cost. But they're relatively would be the same in pricing, I think. I would expect to have an adjustable clutch lever though. The brake lever is somewhat adjustable with this. It does have a key, which is really good. I really like having motorcycles with keys, not key fobs. All right, we're going to pull over here just in a minute. We're going to do a little walk around on this bike and show you what it looks like. It's pretty lovely. I like it, but you know, I'm not a real big carbon fiber guy. But you can get this in painted colors, and there's some stunning colors that you can get this. Wasn't cranking very hard. Well, I think after riding this bike, I'd say I would highly recommend this motorcycle. If you really like the Thruxton R or the RS, and you're going to love this because it's a little bit more comfortable than the Thruxton R or Thruxton RS. So you might come down to a decision between this and a Speed Twin.
And I think you ought to give the FTR 1200 a look because it's a marvelous bike. And you have to stay tuned to my next video to see what kind of new bike I get. Flat Cat Cafe Racer out for today.
You know, I went through the motorcycle. It's a little bit lengthy review, but I give you the nits and pics and the pros and the cons of how I saw that motorcycle. And to be honest with you, I think I really like the Indian brand in that, and I really particularly like the FTR. I don't know if it came across or not. It's I'll give you a lot of statistics and stuff, but it's really a fun bike to ride, and that's probably the most important thing, is to put a smile on your face, and it did put a smile on my face. I just want to thank them for letting me use this bike, taking it out and giving it a spin and giving my thoughts on the reviews on it. Brad and James and Tony and Hunter and all of them, real good folks to deal with, and I do highly recommend this dealership. Join me and my friends at Flat Cat Cafe Racer for riding and racing. Please subscribe.